Welcome to Random Gaming Talk. It's Entertainment Talks podcast for video games. I am your host, Matthew. Joining me today, my co-host is Robert. How are things going?
Things are going good for the most part. How are they going with you?
Good, yeah, not too bad. A few weird little tech issues here and there today, nothing too serious, but we're good to go for today with what we're doing. What have you been playing in the last week?
I played a little bit more of Gears Tactics.
Mm.
I enjoyed it. It unlocked on the console. Didn't run very well. It had a really, really long load time, so I'm probably just going to stick to playing that on PC. I was kind of hoping to be able to play Valhalla because I pre-ordered it on Sunday, but I guess I missed like some weird cutoff window, so that I
Huh?
completely missed um,
Did you get it
missed the
digitally?
No, I bought it physical copy because it was $10 less.
Oh, okay, all right, that makes sense. Yeah, what got you to? You said there was a reason that got you to sort of pre-order it or something.
Yeah, it was super crazy. Like I was looking at reviews, trying to decide if I wanted to get it or not. Um, and then this review popped up because apparently the embargo's over.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching the reviews, it's all the basic stuff, and then they were talking about how they got rid of the term side missions and they're just world events now. And the guy was describing one world event that he got dragged into, and it was just so utterly absurd that I had to pre-order this game. I had to have it in my collection. It was
What
mental.
was the mission?
So the pre-order is the world event is that you're a Viking in the Viking land,
Mm-hmm.
and you come across this couple, and they're trying to have sex, and the guy can't get erect.
Mm-hmm.
So he asks you to get his Viking blood boiling and start breaking his house.
Wow.
Oh, it gets weirder from there. And so you're running around smashing everything up. And he still can't get it going. So he tells you to burn his house down. So you set fire to his house. And that's apparently enough for him, for he proclaims that he's huger than Heimdall's tower. And they start going at it. And they offer you to join in. And I'm like, this is absurd. I've got to play this game. Because I was kind of on the fence because I wasn't sure, if it'd be fun in the sense of, are they going to go super, super serious? Are they going to go super, super wacky? Or are they going to try to find a middle line? And I'm just like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but this is insane.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, I've had my copy dispatched from Boomerang on Monday. It hasn't arrived yet because Royal Mail, they're a bit slow. So hopefully in the next couple of days or so, hopefully I'll be able to start on that this weekend.
Yeah, I
But
thought you got Watch Dogs Legion.
no, that's
Or did you
that's
change
on my
that?
list as well as Assassin's Creed. I don't mind which one I get sent first, because they're both kind of new
Okay.
releases. So Watch Dogs is still on my list, but the three slots for the three games that I've got is Tony Hawk, the remaster, um, the Walking Dead Onslaught VR game, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then you've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So all the slots are taken at the moment, but obviously once I finish one of those games, I'll send one back and then get whatever comes next. So yeah. But yeah, you're looking forward to playing, I guess, the rest of the game.
Yeah, I there's a lot that I saw in the review that had me intrigued. Apparently, it's like wildly customizable. They got rid of all the loot boxes, which is really, really good.
Mhm.
The way they have it set up now is that you just upgrade your equipment. So technically, the weapon that you start the game with, you can finish the game with if you just follow the upgrade paths. So that seemed like a really good idea. So
Mhm. Yeah, in terms of gameplay, everything they've kind of said, bringing back the instant kill, which made no sense to remove. Like the
hmm
instant assassin kill, is one big sort of win for me because it was just I know I know I've explained this a bunch, but it was just so
and
annoying
the
to.
reviewer did explain that. And the way that it works is that like if you go after somebody that's like super crazy high level, you can and you can assassinate them and one kill them. But if you fail because they're so much higher level than you, they will just slaughter you. Like what it is
Okay.
that the instant kill is even, but everything else is a scalable damage tree. So
Mhm. Because like to me, I don't care which setting of an Assassin's Creed game it is or whatever. If my character is qualified as an assassin, like he's good enough to be called an assassin, and I successfully perform an assassination move on someone, that should just work no matter what. I get it, if I'm in melee combat with someone, that's a completely different scenario. If I don't have very good armor or weapons or whatever, but if I sneak up behind you or jump on top of you or something and stab you in the neck, you should be dead. It's as simple as that. So, and they used to do it in the other games, so I'm glad that they've brought that back, because it was also really weird just visually seeing like my character, push someone on the floor, stab them in the neck, and then they just get up and fight me. It was so weird. So I'm glad about that. Because the thing for me with this Valhalla Assassin's Creed game is like I was take it or leave it on the whole Vikings thing. Vikings are kind of cool and whatever. I don't really have like a personal investment in Viking type stories, but as soon as I heard that the instant hidden blade assassination kill was back, I was pretty much just kind of all in. So yeah. Apart from that, what else have you been playing?
I've been still cranking through 7 Days to Die. I'm getting ready to do Horde Night, which is when every 7 days, that's the name of the title, they send a giant FU wave of increasingly difficult zombies at you. And this one is day 63, so it's getting pretty silly by now in terms of how difficult that is.
Okay, so you like getting completely swarmed and stuff, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's a slaughter fest.
Yeah, kind of reminds me a little bit of I can't remember which Black Ops game, or maybe it was the Call of Duty World War game, when they had the zombies horde mode, and you'd get to like round whatever, like 20 something, and there would just be the piles of zombies coming in the door, which you can survive, I guess, if you strategize the situation and whatnot. But yeah, I can kind of imagine a bit of that. So, anything else?
No, that's really about it.
Cool. So yeah, as I mentioned a minute ago, I've been playing The Walking Dead Onslaught VR, and I did explain what this is on Geektown, but I'll do a quick explanation here. Basically, it includes the characters Daryl, Michonne, Rick, and Carol. So the TV versions of those characters, because they're all from the comic books as well, but they're a bit different. Actually, Daryl isn't from the comic books, so forget that. But Carol, Michonne, and Rick from the TV versions. And essentially what you're doing is you're in this like limited part of Alexandria. Carol's by the flower bed. Daryl is sitting resting because he hurt his leg. Michonne has got like this planning board thing. You go over and you talk to her about like scavenging missions. Eugene, who you don't actually see but you hear his voice, he's in the van. He sort of takes you to and from different locations and whatever. And essentially what you do is you go in there and you plan your first scavenger mission and whatever. And for some reason, once you've recruited enough survivors through this run and gun kind of scavenging mission, you can unlock the next chapter of the story, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because when you play as Rick in the Alexandria sort of section, there's no way that Rick's going to sit next to Daryl. He'd say, hey, tell me the next part of the story. And then Daryl would say to him, no, I want you to recruit some people. That doesn't really make much sense. But it sort of makes sense in the gameplay perspective, but not in terms of an actual realistic situation. But nonetheless, that's what you basically do. And then there's this like 2-day story of how Daryl was sort of lost in the woods and sort of tracking this person, whatever, and trying to figure out who they are. And the actual story missions is that, at least at the moment, I haven't gotten past that bit, so maybe there's a piece of the story afterwards. But he's trying to figure out who this woman is, and he's trying to sort of find her and whatever. You're obviously fighting your way through the horde. And once you do each story mission, you then have to go back to the scavenging missions and do a run and gun sort of supply kind of thing, and then you keep doing that, and then you sort of repeat those two things over and over again. I don't know if it changes at some sort of point, because obviously the sort of backstory part with Daryl about him finding this woman has got to end at some point. So I don't know what they do after that, but it's pretty much got the same gameplay as Saints and Sinners, so you got that kind of going on as well. I don't know if it's from the same developers. I still haven't actually looked that up, but I think it likely is. I guess it's pretty much the same gameplay format, but it just includes actual Walking Dead characters. It's good to kind of see them and talk to them a bit and do some missions and have it actually based in Alexandria and that sort of thing. And I've streamed a bit as well. Speaking of streaming, I'm doing that a lot more regularly at the moment, trying to do it with a face cam and a mic and everything. With the Walking Dead VR game, I can't use a face cam because I guess the PlayStation sort of blocks that because you're using that to actually play the VR game. But when I'm playing any sort of non-VR games, I'm using the camera. It's eTalkUK on Twitch. If you search for that and get subscribed or follow, you can stay up to date with that. So I've been trying to use that a bit more. I think you've popped in for a couple of streams here and there. What did you think when you sort of saw them? I can't remember what the last one you watched.
I was watching you do some FIFA stuff. Usually I'm on my PC when I'm gaming lately, and then I'll have Twitch open, and then I'll see you come in, and then I'll just hop in the stream real quick.
Cool, nice. But yeah, you can either like listen in the background, I guess, or watch the stream and stuff. But I'm trying to do it at 4 o'clock my time on sort of like Thursdays, Mondays, or Tuesdays. I did do a stream on Sunday as well, so it'll be a little bit sporadic until I work out like a bit more of a schedule. But you can check that out. And I know I've kind of said in the past about, I'm going to try streaming and doing this and that, but I've kind of got there, if you know what I mean, in terms of like, I don't know, having the confidence to do it and finding a game that fits me as well. Something like the PES Master League is kind of constant. You're either defending or you're trying to score, basically. And then with the Walking Dead game, it's just either doing the scavenging missions or the story missions. So it's working out pretty well. So you can get subscribed to that if you want to do that as well. So, but other than that, been playing the PES Master League. That's been going all right. Been streaming that Walking Dead VR game. Waiting for Assassin's Creed. A weird thing happened in Call of Duty today. Played a little bit of it today while I was doing some notes and other things. So in Cyber Attack, the main game mode that I play, which is where you got 6 versus 6, so 12, 6 aside, and you plant or defend the bomb depending on who's got it or what the situation is. One of the big mechanics of Cyber Attack is that when your teammate dies, you can revive them. There was an update that was scheduled for today. It did actually go out and everything. The actual button prompt or mechanic for reviving teammates is gone. So there was a bunch of teammates today that I'd sort of like, had died and whatever, and they said, hey, can you revive me and stuff? And like in every game I was explaining that like that they bugged the mechanic out of the game, I guess. Now I don't know why when they've done this update for the game, which is to basically meld Black Ops Cold War, Warzone and Modern Warfare together for like Warzone progress and stuff. I don't know why you would have touched the code for Cyber Attack necessarily, because someone's obviously gone in there and like moved something or deleted something from the code for Cyber Attack, so I don't really quite get that. But any thoughts on that particular situation?
Well, I don't think it was done intentionally. That's the thing with code, is sometimes it can have unexpected results.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, you would just hope that that's something that they can identify why that happened quickly and then fix it just as quick.
Yeah, it seems like something you could maybe fix fairly easily. So
you definitely want to fix it very quickly.
Yeah. So we shall see when that happens. Again, with Call of Duty, it's not the case that the game's bad. The game's brilliant. It's just that it's got these weird server issues or things that happen now and again. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much everything of what I've been playing. Let's get into some housekeeping. We'll see you for that in a minute.
Hey there, I'm Aaron Holman, host of Eye to Eye, a weekly podcast talk show all about passion.
I have this passion and this fire within me that burns brighter than the fire around me.
Flow.
With performing, there's always a story to tell, whether it's my own or not.
And creativity.
I go, he's more than cute, he's creative.
All with an LGBT twist. Make sure to check out Eye to Eye, that's EYE, number 2, letter I. And rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in today.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
or weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Koalu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Koalu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon. There's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. Alright, recently on Entertainment Talk, Fear the Walking Dead still continuing. Season 6 episode 5 is the newest episode, so you can go and listen to my thoughts on that particular episode as well. What else we got? I watched I don't know if you've seen this, there's a film on Netflix, Enola Holmes. Now, of course, she is the sister related to Sherlock Holmes. In this film, Sherlock Holmes is played by Henry Cavill, and Enola Holmes, the title character, is played by Millie Bobby Brown, who is, of course, Elle from Stranger Things. I don't know if you've seen anything about that.
I've seen it pop up, but I've never gotten around to watching it.
Okay, but yeah, I gave it a don't skip rating. Not a must-see rating, but a don't skip rating. And I did a little spoiler-free review talking about what it did right and wrong and all the usual sort of things. United cast, Manchester United beat Everton 3-1. Good for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because he could have been sacked as the manager if we'd lost. There's the international break now for a week or two or some level of time, but United will be returning soon in the next couple of weeks to play some more matches. But we beat Everton 3-1 away from home, which was very, very good. Brilliant performance again by Bruno Fernandes, because he's our best player, so he always does that. But that was really, really good as well. And I talked about some issues with Pogba as well, and how weirdly he's kind of playing at the moment. Star Trek Discovery is still continuing, season 3 episode 4. That's still continuing, and that's going to run through until until the new year. That's on CBS All Access on Thursdays for the US and Netflix for the UK. United cast, we did lose 2-1 away to Istanbul, which is a Turkish team who have never been in the Champions League before. That was a pretty terrible performance where our defence didn't really want to turn up, basically. Walking Dead UK for World Beyond, the other spin-off show, season 1 episode 5 is the most recent podcast. We'll be talking about season 1 episode 6 tomorrow, so look out for that. Also, speaking of tomorrow, me and David are finally going to do the season 1 feedback podcast for Breaking Bad. I wanted to wait like a couple of weeks or so until the after the season finale podcast came out, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And that's pretty much everything on entertainmenttalk.org and on podcast platforms. Do you want to go first this week, or me, or...
Yeah, sure, I'll go first.
Cool. Alright, what do you want to talk about today?
First off, we'll stick with Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
They just announced that they're having a subscription service launch on Amazon's Luma. Ubisoft Plus lets you stream games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla for the Luna gaming service for $15 a month, which is the cost of Ubisoft's.
Expensive.
Yeah,
That's very expensive.
that's very expensive for a specific platform,
Yeah.
but it is going to be part of Luma. There's nothing in the article here that says whether or not you also have to pay for Luma as well, which is weird that they wouldn't include that in the article.
That's a pretty important detail. So
yeah, because I don't know if it's free with Prime. There's all kinds of questions about that, and we're not really getting any answers. So
yeah, yeah. I don't really see the need for. I mean, I get it. Ubisoft's got quite a big catalogue of games if you really sort of count things and narrow things down. So they have got a lot to offer, I suppose. But I don't know, we're just in a situation, it's starting to happen with games now, where everyone feels like they need a subscription service. You've got PlayStation Now, Game Pass, you've got Ubisoft Plus, you've got Amazon Luna, you've got Google Stadia, you've got, what's Nintendo's, well, they don't have a streaming service, but they have a subscription service. Was it Nintendo Online? I forgot what it's actually called. They have that, and then obviously you've got Games with Gold, or Xbox Live Gold, and then you've got PS Plus and all the others, so it's nowhere near as bad as what TV is with subscriptions, which is, well, I've talked about that over on Analyzing Television, the TV crash stuff that I've talked about. It's nowhere near that sort of level, but like, what are we gonna? I mean, you've got EA Play, one that I forgot as well. Can you think of any others that I've forgotten? I mean, I know you got xCloud, but that's part of Game Pass, so that's not really.
Yeah. And the ones for Microsoft and Sony make sense in that they're for their consoles. So,
right.
It's ubiquitous to the platform itself.
Yeah, it's not just Xbox or PlayStation games. It's, well, not just exclusive, sorry. You get like third-party games on there as well.
Yeah, with Microsoft, it's every studio they own, which at this point is like 23.
Right.
Sony does it more to keep up with Microsoft than anything else.
Because on Ubisoft Plus, you're not going to get like Halo Infinite or Last of Us 2 or something, because they're not allowed to. They don't own those games. So whereas with like PlayStation Now or something, you could see, I don't know, Red Dead Redemption 2 or whatever. So yeah, it definitely makes sense more on the Xbox and PlayStation side with what they're doing, but yeah, with all the others that we've sort of just mentioned, there's this needs to sort of stop before more starts getting added, because we literally just a few weeks ago or maybe a month ago had Amazon announce theirs. So yeah. Anyway, what else did you want to read from this story?
That's really all from the story. It's more of, I don't know why they're doing this, but they're doing this. So
yeah, because Ubisoft have got fans, I mean, so what have you got? Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, the Rainbow Six series, Splinter Cell, which even though they haven't done anything meaningful with, it's still a franchise. You've got the Mario Rabbids games, Beyond Good and Evil, that I could go on and on listing different games. So I understand the quantity there. It's just they should just stick to selling third-party games on consoles at the moment. So yeah. Anyway, what else did you want to talk about today?
Next up, we've got Square Enix, and I know you have a companion piece to mine. Square Enix reportedly lost $48 million on just the Avengers property alone. According to the article, driven by weak sales, Square Enix has posted an operating loss in its HD games segment for more than 5 billion yen, or $48 million, for the second quarter of the current fiscal year. So that's not even for the whole year. That's just for the second quarter. Square Enix HD Games division is responsible for big games, but not its MMO or mobile games. So this isn't all the MMOs. This isn't the mobile stuff. This is just for their console gaming for that property.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The report that I've got, I saw two different numbers. One was like 40 something, and another was 40 something, but a different number. So I put a loss of over 40 million just to sort of average it out, I guess. The other number that I've got attached to this is that they only sold 3 million copies, which for a game based on one of the, well, not based on, but license-wise, based on the number one box office film Avengers Endgame, and Infinity War did really well, and so did a lot of the other MCU films. For a game based on the same property as that, and one that's also third party, so it's not limited to PlayStation or Xbox or PC. I know it's not on Switch, but that's a different thing entirely. For a game that's third party, that's really quite weak, because this game has been out for about 2 months or so now, because it came out at some point in September, and we're almost into the middle of November. I read some comments and saw some stuff online, and everybody said, the main thing that you shouldn't have done is done a live service Avengers game. Or, I mean, you can do that and make it successful, and, because you had, like, DC Universe Online that was fairly successful. I know it's a bit quieter these days, but it did pretty well when it came out. But as I've been saying repeatedly about this game, you can't launch a game in that sort of state and get away with it. There will be people that will just buy it regardless. And I'm not just talking about fanboys. I'm talking about people that would just be like, hey, I want to play as Iron Man and join my friends, and they can play as Hulk or Thor or whatever. You'll get those people that just kind of ignore the negative stories, and fair enough. At the end of the day, it's your money. If you want to buy whatever game you want to buy with it and enjoy it in whatever way you're going to enjoy it, if you're playing with your friends or something, that's entirely up to you at the end of the day. But there has been a lot of people since September, since this game's come out, that have sort of tried to ignore the kind of game's problems and been like, yeah, it's not great, but it's still kind of like, fun to jump in with friends and stuff. And if you're having fun with your friends with the game, that's great. But as a statement that I've been saying as well for probably over a year, we need to stop accepting bad AAA video games, and this is an example of a bad AAA video game. It's still just really surprising to me that they publicly did announce how many bugs they had in the game, and just they looked at that situation and said, yeah, we're going to launch this game. Now that's probably more on Square Enix than it is Crystal Dynamics, because they're the publisher and not the developer. But yeah, I mean, I can't say I didn't really see this coming. And to follow on with something else that I said a few weeks ago, how this is kind of, in terms of news, in terms of bad news, kind of become the new Fallout 76. Here we are again talking about something else that's happened to this game, and this is probably the third or the fourth time that we've brought it up for something negative. So yeah, but what do you make of the situation?
Yeah, I hate the fact that we have to bring this up in a negative context, because like I've said several times before in the podcast, I'm never rooting for an IP to fail. Now, I could literally care nothing whether or not it succeeds, but that's a far cry different from whether or not it'll actually fail, or wanting it to fail. But honestly, I think the biggest mistake, and we talked about this on a previous podcast, how most of the game you're playing as Kamala Khan, which if you're a fan of that character, yay for you. But if you're going in for Iron Man or Thor or Hulk or whatever, and you don't get to play nearly as much with those characters as you want to, I can understand why that's a disappointment.
Yeah, in an Avengers game called Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, which barely features any Marvel Avengers that we're familiar with because of the movies.
Right, yeah. But it's an unfortunate situation, because the other kind of, well, not really positive spin, but the other kind of thing that I've said about this game before is I remember when that teaser trailer came out years ago, and I was thinking of the possibilities and thinking like, okay, what could they do with this? And this is an Avengers game, and the MCU was in the middle of telling its Infinity Saga story, or wherever it was, and we'd all really grown to love those characters at this point, and they'd kind of taken the cinema spotlight with the films and everything. And I remember just kind of thinking this game could end up being a number of cool different things, and just seeing how it's ended up is just quite disappointing. But yeah, I mean, in a way, yeah, choosing a live service game is a bad option. You still could have made a good live service game and had a good single player story, but the main big problem to me is just it's clearly an underdeveloped game, which is an enormous problem for if you're developing a video game. So yeah, Because as much as some people don't like live service games and stuff, it doesn't mean that they couldn't have made a good one, because we do have good live service games out there. So there was a possibility for that to happen. It just didn't. So, but as I've said before, if you spent the $60 or $45 or however much you spent on it, if you're having fun with your friends or your family or whatever the situation may be, and you're enjoying your time, that's great. Because then as long as you kind of feel like you're getting value out of the money that you spent, the money that you earned and you spent, I can't tell you that you're wrong about that necessarily. So there's that as well. Any thoughts on that specifically? Like,
No, it's just one of those things that I hope that it doesn't have to become an article we have to talk about again. So
sure, yeah. Cool. What else did you want to talk about?
well, ahead of the digital live stream launch event that Microsoft had today for the Xbox Series S and Series X launch, they had a little article dump talking about all the new stuff coming to Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate. Some of the more notable titles coming to Ultimate and Game Pass: River City Girls, which is a fun side-scroller beat-'em-up. When it goes live, I highly recommend it. Final Fantasy VII Remastered for console and PC. So that's a huge one right there.
Yeah.
Destiny 2 Beyond Light, another big one. Tetris Effect, which we talked about a long time ago when I got it on the PS4. But the biggest one, obviously, is EA Play.
Mm-hmm.
So starting December 15th, which is when it goes live, but you can't start pre-downloading now, any game that's on the EA Play Library Pass will be playable either on Windows 10 PCs, via the EA Desktop app currently in beta, or on the console through Xbox Ultimate. In addition to that, they announced Xbox Ultimate members can activate a 30-day free trial of Disney Plus, one per account. It is limited, but it looks like it's most of the world. This is a limited time offer. You have to redeem by March 2nd, 2021.
Oh, got quite a lot of time then.
Yeah, I mean, you would think 4 months is a lot of time, but obviously they're not going to leave it forever. But yeah, that's a ton of stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the EA Play thing is a fairly good deal. Just if you're, I mean, mainly if you're into the sports games, certainly, they've got a whole bunch of them, and some of their previous titles as well, like some of the Battlefield games, maybe the Battlefront games, the Star Wars ones. I don't know if they've added Fallen Order to EA Play, but I remember reading something about it coming to EA Play soon, or something like that. So maybe you'll be able to possibly play that, because that game's a year old already, isn't it? So
yeah.
And some of the FIFA games and things like that. So that's pretty good. It's quite good. I mean, Game Pass alone, even without the Disney Plus trial and without EA Play, is already really quite a good deal. But this just kind of adds to it, which is really cool. What do you think of the Disney Plus trial situation?
Kind of odd,
Yeah,
but
I
don't hate it. I have a year subscription, so I don't know when my year is up. I don't know if I'll continue it after the year. I probably will. But I like the fact that, I mean, that was one of the criticisms I had when the original Xbox One launched, was they tried to make it an all-in-one versus focusing on gaming. And they've since course corrected that. And now they're very slowly making it more kind of the entertainment center focus that the original Xbox One wanted to be. But outside of that, I mean, it isn't something you have to pay more for. It isn't something that's like, a 5-day trial or a 6-day trial. I mean, it's a full month, which is a good thing. Let you binge both seasons of The Mandalorian, depending on when you claim it. Interestingly, in the article, they also confirmed which EA titles will be available on xCloud. That being Madden 20, Unravel 2, Sims 4, full copy of Dragon Age Inquisition, Mass Effect Andromeda, Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare 2, and Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which is kind of a weird one, but it might work.
Mirror's Edge. I missed that one.
I like the concept of it. I could never get my brain to make it work.
I really love those games. Yeah. But now that DNA kind of lives through Dying Light, which is the same thing but with zombies, which is still pretty cool anyway. So, and at some point Dying Light 2 will come out, I guess, maybe. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of value here. Certainly, I don't think you can really argue against that. You know, you got Game Plus, you got Disney Plus, so all the decades worth of Disney films, Mandalorian, and all the other Disney Plus stuff. And then EA Play. I almost said EA Plus just because everything is Plus these days. But EA Play. It wouldn't surprise me if they renamed it EA Plus. But yeah, there's certainly value for money here, which I don't think you can argue against, which is good. It just depends on, if you're into any of the EA games, or if you're not really like bothered about Disney, or if you are, or whatever the situation. But again, like I kind of said in the past, Disney, Microsoft is certainly looking at the value that can be made from Game Pass and the value that's already there from Game Pass. And they do keep finding ways to keep adding to it. My one just thing about Xbox and Microsoft at the moment is you've got a really, really good thing set up here with Game Pass, like the things that you've added to it and the whole day one exclusive things and how cheap it can be sometimes. Sometimes you can get £1 for 3 months or something, sometimes £1 for 1 month, which is really good. It's just the case for me that the one kind of note that I would put towards this is, okay, when are you going to start? Because you got, is it 23 studios now?
Mm-hmm.
When are those studios going to start putting out games, like new exclusive games to start adding to the, like, new games value of Game Pass, if you get what I mean? Because you got them, like, they're all preparing those games and they'll be ready to go at some point. It's just the question for me of when do those start to sort of come out, I suppose, and add just even more value to the situation.
Yeah, I think they will at some point. I mean, there are talks of Obsidian Studios creating a new IP that they've got in the works. Obviously, Bethesda has Starfield, which is going to be a new IP coming in the works. Mm-hmm. And obviously, something that a lot of people have been hammering on is that they haven't answered yes or no whether or not these are going to be exclusive to the console. First off, they probably legally can't because the purchase is still pending. It has to go through the entire U.S. legal system bullshit for, monopolies and all that other stuff, which I'm fine with for the most part. It's just some things it makes happen really, really slow. I don't think that deal... The last I heard, the deal will probably get finalized like May or June 2021. So they're going to be dancing around that answer for at least till that long, or until the sale is completed. Because you got to remember, Microsoft can say we're paying this much for this much company. Everybody on the company is on, or enough of the people in the company are on board with it, and the U.S. courts can just look at it and go no. And they did that a while back. AT&T was having problems keeping up with their bandwidth, and so they tried to buy T-Mobile. And this was like 2011, I want to say, 2011, 2012, something like that. And they're like, this is going to be good for everybody. We're going to bring 5,000 IT jobs from overseas back to the state. We're going to pay them this amount of money for the company. And like a month into it, the whatever government agency monitors just like, yeah, that ain't going to happen, bro. And just canceled the whole deal.
Wow. Yeah. That's AT&T, that's the phone.
Yeah, it's a mobile carrier.
Yeah.
Kind of the big four is AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, and T-Mobile. And T-Mobile's getting bought out by somebody else now, so.
Oh. Yeah, because AT&T has some sort of merger with Warner, don't they?
They have a deal going right now to where you can get like a AT&T Mobile Ultimate package, and it includes HBO Max.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's just like a corporate partnership or like it's some weird shell game to where one company that owns AT&T is owned by another company that owns HBO. Dude, you get cross-eyed looking at some of these cross-company promotions.
Yeah.
But the easiest way to tell is like if you go into a fast food restaurant and it has Coke products, that's because their parent company is owned by Coca-Cola. And if you go into a different restaurant, it's owned and it has Pepsi product, it's owned by Pepsi Corp. Mm-hmm. This is not a decision that the fast food chain made. They're owned by one of the parent companies. They can only sell that soda and only that soda. And if you get both options, then it's an independent, not owned by either.
Yeah. But yes, nonetheless, a good offer here with Game Pass. I do think it's, because they tweeted out, Game Pass tweeted out this week something like, "We're not just posting a picture of the Mandalorian and the child for no reason," and then that obviously led to this news. Everyone was like, oh, "Okay, you're gonna get like a full Disney Plus included with Game Pass." You do get Disney Plus included with Game Pass, but just a free trial, which I guess is kind of cool. I mean,
and there is an
if
American mobile company.
if there was a permanent deal to where you could pay $1 and get Disney Plus and Game Pass, Disney, I think, I mean, I don't know like their ins and outs of their business, but that doesn't seem very profitable for Disney. Especially when you're making a big budget show like something like Mandalorian, or you're doing all these Marvel shows and that. So that was, I had a suspicion about that straight away, about like, okay, how would that work? But it is only for a free trial, so that makes a lot more sense.
And plus, two things. One, Disney as a corporation is losing crazy amounts of money because of 2020. Then none of their theme parks are open. None of their properties are open. They can't bring any movies out to market for theaters. So they're losing a crazy amount of money. Plus, one of the other mobile carriers, I think Verizon, includes Disney Plus as part of one of their packages. So that obviously that's a corp owning by another corp owned by another corp kind of a thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this was probably just like, hey, let's do this, see if we can get some people into that aren't already on Disney Plus interested in Disney Plus, and if they like it, then they'll sign up for that. And
sure,
little I help you get more people. Maybe you kick a little back, which is perfectly legal. They can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously this all depends on the contract, which we're never going to see, but it's not illegal to say, hey, if we can get you the X many number of new subscribers based off of this, then you pay us X amount. It's basically like a finder's fee.
Yeah. I mean, the other really cool thing is if Disney let someone make a Mandalorian game. That would be pretty cool.
There will be a Mandalorian game at some point. How good it is depends on who makes it and how fast they get it out.
Yeah, don't let Crystal do it.
You know, the House of Mouse, the absolute emperor of merchandising, will not let that opportunity pass at some point.
Yeah.
If we have a friggin' Cobra Kai video game, we will get a Mandalorian video game.
That'd be cool. Yeah. I mean, certain aspects of the show play out like a video game, like the way he does quests and things. So, cool. What else did you want to talk about today?
Oh, well, we'll stay on Microsoft a little bit. Obviously, as we talked earlier, they own 23 studios right now. So they've pretty much got the Western market locked up in terms of RPGs or strategies and whatnot. So now they're setting sights on Japan. According to Koei Temco Games Company President Hisashi Koinuma, I'm going to butcher that, so I apologize. Koinuma, I think, revealed that Microsoft has approached the publisher to form a partnership, something that the company would be open to if Microsoft continues to show interest in Japan. And it is one of several Japan-based game developers that Microsoft has approached. According to Hideki Yatsuda, an analyst with Ace Research Institute in Tokyo, the small, compact Xbox Series S console could be very popular in Japanese homes where living space is at a premium, especially when compared to the almost freakish size of the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
With Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and xCloud game-based streaming services offering great value for money, Microsoft's gaming console ecosystem could be a great draw for bringing in new audience in a market that they have historically struggled in. And I don't know if you followed the numbers, but going all the way back to the original Xbox, Microsoft hasn't done squat in Japan compared to any other gaming platform.
Yeah, I've heard about that over the last several years that I've been following games and stuff, that they've struggled with sales in Japan and whatnot. So yeah, going over there to do some business, whatever that business may be, kind of makes sense. It was funny because this news kind of came out that they'd visited Japan and tried to do some business, and of course the comment sections lit up with, "Oh my god, they've bought Konami," and I just went, "Calm down, everyone, calm down." Like, I mean, it's not impossible they would have bought Konami, but very, very unlikely. I just think when it comes to Konami, the things some people don't realize is they've got their income with those franchises, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, Silent Hill, and some of the others, through those pachinko machines, the gambling machines, which they make a lot of money from, and is one of the reasons you haven't seen any good games from those franchises in the last couple of years. Because PT was cancelled, Metal Gear Survive was terrible. The last two notable things out of Konami was Metal Gear Solid 5 and the PT demo, which sort of technically no longer actually exists because you can't go and download it. So I don't think it's got anything to do with them, but I just thought it was interesting with the different comment sections blowing up saying that they were going to buy Konami. Yeah, it would make sense with the different moves they've been making in terms of business and Game Pass, and obviously they got a new console coming out, so that kind of makes some sense. Yeah, I don't know what exactly it would have been for, but given that they've been struggling in Japan and now they're kind of into a bit of a new era, maybe, it makes sense that they would have gone over there and possibly done something. As to what that is, I have no real idea, but some sort of business deals that we have no idea about at the moment. What do you think?
Yeah, if reports had come out and said that Microsoft had bought all the IPs for video games that Konami owns, that I would believe more than they would buy Konami. Unless they needed like another revenue stream, which obviously I don't know Microsoft business, but I don't think they really do. Full disclosure, I own Microsoft stock as part of one of my investment portfolios. I also own PlayStation, so I have a vested interest in both of those things doing well.
Cool.
And I don't mind disclosing that. I'm not going to obviously tell you the numbers and the amounts because that's none of your damn business, but I have no problem saying that I do own it.
Mm-hmm.
So if Microsoft was like kind of struggling but still was cash rich and they wanted to buy it to improve their revenue streams, I could kind of see it. But they're not struggling really in any way. They on most of their divisions, they're doing pretty well. Their approach of let's buy this company, but keep everybody there, not try to micromanage it, let them do their thing, just give them more room to breathe, to let them do what they do best, seems to be really working out. Obviously, Obsidian coming out with both Grounded and Outer Worlds, that's done really well. It's looking like from what Pete Hines and the other guy at Bethesda, whose name I can't remember right off the top of my head.
Tom Howard?
Ron Howard.
Is it Tim Howard?
It's something Howard.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Ron
I can't
Howard,
remember his first name for some reason.
Director.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Microsoft acquisition seems to give them the kick in the pants they desperately needed in terms of getting off of the engine they were using.
Yeah. Which they've intended to use for future games, which would have been an utter disaster.
Oh yeah.
Well. So
the fact that, and we talked about this after the launch when it went on like a crazy deep sale, and I did buy it. The fact that Fallout 76 uses animation that's copy pasted from Skyrim, that's now an 11-year-old game almost. I think it was 2010 or 2011 when that game came out.
Somewhere around there.
The fact that the Blighted or whatever they're called was using the same animation that zombies were using in Skyrim just shows they needed a kick in the ass and a smack in the face desperately when it came to some of their tech.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that Microsoft has done that, but then they didn't fire a whole bunch of people and then put a whole bunch of other people in their place. They're keeping the team together. They're just pulling the team's collective head out of their collective asses.
Yeah, and hopefully giving them better tech.
So if they did that in Japan studios, they would obviously, vet everything out, decide this one makes the most sense. They might buy Konami just because they can't buy the IPs separately. So they might just say, like, screw it, I'll just buy the whole damn thing. We talked about this before on other podcasts. They've got the cash to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They are not a cash poor company.
Can literally I mean, they could afford Konami. It's just whether Konami would actually say yes, which I don't see them doing for almost any price. I don't know. So
there's an old joke. I can't remember who used to say it, so I can't give proper credit. But there's an old joke where somebody said they've got enough money to say, "Here's a check, go away."
Yeah. In terms of like any amount of money, I suppose.
Yeah, and people always say, "Oh, I wouldn't do this for this amount of money." Well, nobody's ever tried to give you that amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Some people that are here locally, they're not like stupid rich, but they have enough money to where, like, if you are on Facebook and you see like a crazy eating challenge, of like, if somebody offered you $50,000 or $10,000, could you do this in X amount of time? They've had people that have worked for them that have said, yeah, I could do that. And they're like, bet, boom, here's the money, go for it, do it.
Yeah.
And things change really quick when it's actually running you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, I suppose it's a certain thing with some companies where, like, take Manchester United is a very good example. Manchester United is still worth a lot of money, shirt sales, MUTV, which some people pay for some reason. All sorts of revenue sponsors and all that sort of stuff. For someone like the Glazers, and I am kind of, not in terms of the attitude of the owners, although I kind of am, in terms of just like money's worth, for someone like Konami and for someone like the Glazers who own Manchester United, they would see the situation better off if, okay, instead of selling this company for like $5 or $10 billion, we can just keep this thing and keep earning money for years and years. And that's kind of the situation that Konami's got themselves into, I suppose, where sure they could accept 10 billion for whatever, or some sort of amount of money, and walk away, or you could just have money coming in continuously and just keep what you've got, I suppose. So
yeah, and let's be honest, it's money that they're getting with very little effort. They're not spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing the next game. They're not spending 5-6 years developing the next game. They've got their pachinko machines, which they probably got that streamlined to a point to where, oh, this is popular, let's get the license for this, make this a thing for pachinko. 6 months in, out, bing, bang, boom, machine's done, because they're using the same machine just with a different skin. Boom, look at all the money coming in.
Yeah. So, alright, what else did you want to talk about?
Well, normally I hate ending on a bummer, but this kind of, and I know this is a theory that'll never be proven, but it's just the one that makes the most sense. I really think Sony's trying to downplay desire to get a PS5 for whatever reason. Just because we've got a couple of stories that'll pair together. Sony has confirmed that the external M.2 SSD storage slot that is built into the machine and is a hardware feature will not be ready at console launch. So if you pre-ordered and already got an SSD card, don't take your machine apart to put it in, because it will not work. They kind of been hinting at that until an official guidance, but a story that I've got from 4 days ago makes that official. We also got an official announcement that external USB drives will not be usable at launch for the PS5. Now, that's not to say they're not going to be using them forever. Obviously, this is just a firmware software issue. So at some point, that functionality will be used, but just not at launch. The only thing in the article that made me laugh was that in the article, PlayStation 5 representative asserted that their 825 gigabyte internal storage, which is going to have about 650-ish gigs of usable state at launch, is, quote, plenty of room for other games in the meantime. Yeah, I'm going to press X of doubt on that one, because what are you up to now on Black Ops for your install?
Oh,
is it like 100?
Modern Warfare is, what was it? It had an update this week. 182, I think it is now. And 100 of that, at least 100 of that is for Warzone. So if you take Warzone out, it's 82. But nonetheless.
Yeah, so 82 I accept. But if you're both into the Black Ops and the Warzone,
or if you want the game, or if you want the game installed, you've got no choice. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so almost a third of your hard drive for one game, and you're claiming that's adequate. And the USB external is not just for running games off of, it's for transferring back and forth. So you'll have to re-download your games, unless they patch that between when we're recording this and whenever anybody actually gets their PS4 with PS5, this is a software / firmware thing. So they could literally fix it in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then obviously they want to sell consoles in the long run because their gaming really is their only profitable revenue right now. Obviously, Sony has a big movie division. Movies are doing nothing right now. Sony has a big entertainment division. A lot of things can't film right now. So gaming is about all they've got.
Yeah.
And they're just giving you reasons not to get it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's not to say never get it. Don't get it in the future. Obviously, if you're big into the PlayStation ecosystem, you will get a PS5 at some point. But they're just giving you more and more reasons of maybe we don't need this right this second.
Yeah. Just on a quick little side note in regards to Call of Duty, I did I mention this to you? I mentioned it to someone. I think I told Barry or someone, or maybe it was David. I did go out and get a, didn't go out and get it, I bought it on Amazon. I did get a 500 gig external hard drive to use, which was very easy to set up. I just plugged it into the PS4, formatted it, which had nothing on it anyway, and then I moved a bunch of games over. And this week, when that Call of Duty update happened that I mentioned, and when Fall Guys got an update and something else got updated as well, it did actually do it all automatically, so I'm not having any space issues anymore because I've basically moved. I've got two 500 gig hard drives basically, and I'm moving games between them, so that's worked out really well. To go to this whole story and everything, I really feel like we're in a situation where Microsoft's got these 23 studios, they're all working on games, and obviously got the Bethesda chunk of that as well. Microsoft's done a really, really good job with the hardware. The Series X looks great, and it's got the a quick resume? That's what it's called, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, quick resume. It caches 4 games, and you can just bounce right between them in fairly short time. Mm-hmm. And we've seen tech demos on that, and that works amazing.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. Which you can't do with PlayStation. They obviously have this storage issue, which you can sort out with Xbox. I really feel like Sony is looking at the PS5 and saying, okay, we've got these issues like with the storage stuff, and there's no quick resume and all that sort of thing. But I think Sony's looking at the situation and thinking, okay, we've still got the games, and it seems to me like they feel like that's enough, which I feel like, I mean, at the end of the day, these big games that they've had coming out, Horizon and God of War and Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima and Ratchet and Clank's coming out and Spider-Man's got a new game and Sackboy's made a return and all the other, there's probably a new Uncharted game coming out and whatever, God of War Ragnarok is out next year. Regardless of the PlayStation 5's problems, if you want to be in the conversation and get your own experience of these games, you can only play them on PlayStation 5. So it's sort of one of these situations where Sony's looking at it and thinking, okay, we've got the must-have games. Now, I'm not saying that Xbox doesn't have any must-have games. I just think that Sony's got a lot more of them, or at least more successful ones at the moment. And they've looked at the situation and thought, okay, we don't really need to do this whole hard drive thing at the moment. We can just look at us. We got the big games kind of thing. Whereas Microsoft or Xbox is in a situation where their games are coming. They're in development. They're not really ready yet. But they're on top of things in terms of the hardware side. So I just think it's a case where Sony is winning on the games front, but Microsoft's winning on the hardware front. And that's pretty much that.
Yeah, there's no denying that right now Sony has the better exclusive for games. But what if, somewhere down the road, like 2 years down the road, Microsoft decides to flip the switch and they're just like, oh yeah, all these studios that we have, they're not coming to PlayStation. You can still play them on PC. You can still stream them as part of xCloud. You can still play them on your PC, but they're not coming to SKL. Not coming to PlayStation. No Bethesda, no Obsidian, no inXile, no any of those other games. I don't think they'll do it. They're more of a let's be a gamer first and not limit platforms or hardware. But they could easily do that if they really wanted to. Mm-hmm. In terms of PlayStation, it's not everybody is going to be able to buy both at once. And obviously with everything with COVID going on, supply chains are disrupted, supplies are going to be limited. The thing is right now, Microsoft is giving you every reason to buy the game, and Sony is giving you a few reasons not to buy their console. And you got to wonder which one of those is going to win out first. Because, I mean, I've already said that I'm buying my Series X first. But that's because most of the games I play are already on Xbox regardless of
Right, they're in your ecosystem.
the platform. And not even ecosystem. It's just I didn't play PS2, never owned one. Got into the PS3 really late. And the whole nonsense with I know I told you about the whole commercial, right?
What commercial for what? Sorry.
Oh, okay. So I know I told you this at one point, but it's been a while. So after the big Sony hack to where they, were down for so much with the online.
Oh, the PS3
and then,
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for the PS3, and then they gave away the free games. One of the free games that I picked up was Wipeout 2048. I want to think it is.
Okay.
And I'm a big racing fan. I'm a huge racing fan. So any racing game I'll play. And so I'm playing the game, and I'm about an hour and a half ish into it, and I get a commercial. Not like play a Sony branded race car or race like a Doritos branded race car, whatever. I mean an actual commercial you would see on television for a product as part of the game. And and then I'm like, what the fuck is this? And so I play a little bit more, and then like another like half hour ish or so later. Same commercial.
Wow. Yeah.
And this is part of the game. And if I had paid for this game, and this was not an inexpensive game, would have been like a $30 game, I would be getting that commercial if I had bought it straight up.
Yeah.
That pissed me off to no end. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mind product placement. We've talked about companies owning companies. You're going to get product placement. I don't even mind it in a game.
Oh, I don't mind product placement. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Microsoft had two games. It was called Doritos Dash. It was basically Doritos and Wipeout. But they were free games, and they were just simple avatar games. So back in the 360 era, when your avatar actually had something to do, you could play a Wipeout / Ninja Warrior style game with your avatar, and it was free. See, I don't mind that when it's free, when I don't have to pay for it. But the fact that the only reason why this game was free was because of
The hack
them
thing.
trying to make up for the hack, and I had to see a commercial in a game. That I'm still kind of angry about that, to be honest, just because I don't want commercials in things I'm paying for, and I
Yeah.
don't think I should have to have commercials in, especially games.
Mm-hmm.
The only real egregious example I remember along that lines was a Bionic Commando reboot that they tried to do with that franchise to make it more like a 3D open worlder, and you could grab and smash anything except for the Pepsi vending machines, like desks, chairs, whatever. If it wasn't a building or whatever, you could grab it and smash it and throw it, but not the Pepsi machines, because that was a paid advertisement.
Yeah. Kind of brings me on to a question of, okay, with the PS5 and they've got must-have games and all that sort of thing, I'd wonder what Sony would have to do to the PS5, like how much they'd have to butcher it in order for gamers to turn around and go, no, I'm just not going to play those games. But I don't know, it's like when Spider-Man Miles Morales comes out and gets good reviews, or when Ratchet and Clank comes out and gets probably good reviews or whatever, and people are talking about Horizon and Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima and God of War, and they're all, highly talked about games, and they become must-have games. You have to, well, simply put, if you want to play those games, you have no choice but to get a PlayStation. So, yeah, that's...
Yeah, and the other thing is that, I don't know, I forget if this is something we were going to talk about or not, the fact that Sony announced that there's going to be no in-store stock for PlayStation 5. So if you haven't pre-ordered it and have that delivery confirmed, you're not going to be able to find it.
Is that just for the US?
I don't know if it's worldwide or US.
Because I can't find any over here, just anywhere, period, whether it's in a store or online or anything.
It's global.
Hmm.
And how long that stays out of stock versus how long the Series S and the Series X stay out of stock. Because earlier, the Series S was back in stock. on Amazon's website, and then it was out of stock again. But if they can kind of feather that in and get more people onto the Microsoft platform, they're going to be less likely to go back to the PlayStation until the games start coming out. But with everything going on in the world with COVID, who knows when those games are actually going to come out? I mean, 2 weeks ago we had Cyberpunk going gold and then getting delayed after it had gone gold.
Yeah.
Nothing's guaranteed anymore.
Yeah. So, cool. Did you want to say anything else about this, or should we move on?
No, we can move on.
Cool. In some very bright, big news and some good news, EA finally decided to actually remaster the Mass Effect trilogy. Now, I know a few weeks ago we talked about a listing somewhere or something that basically confirmed that this was the case, but a few days ago, I think this was the day when the election was actually decided, the news kind of slipped out in the meantime of all of that, that the Mass Effect trilogy is indeed going to be getting remastered in the spring of 2021. We've probably talked about this before, but I've forgotten. Did you play the original 3 games? I'm sure you did.
Yeah, the original Mass Effect 1 was actually exclusive to the 360, and that's what kept me on the Microsoft platform.
Yeah.
And to be technical, and I'm just being technical here, the election has not been decided. The media is declaring Joe Biden the winner, but the election results have not been certified, so he is not the winner as of yet. What happens going forward, nobody knows. And anybody that tells you they know, they're lying. Or they're just projecting what they want to happen. But on a technical, 2 + 2 = 4 level, the election has not been decided yet.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, what do you think of the Mass Effect? Yeah, Mass Effect trilogy getting remastered?
It's not surprised. I mean, this has been the worst kept secret since I don't know what
coming
in the video game world. It happened on November 7th, and N7 is the insignia for the special ops team that your character Shepard joins at the beginning of Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
So that was the day to launch it on. I'm all for a remaster. I loved the first game, but there were a lot of technical issues. I'd love to play through the original trilogy again, upscaled, full 4K, 60 frames. My only real fear is that they don't include the multiplayer mode for Mass Effect 3, and that was surprisingly good. I could easily do without the loot boxes, make it like a level progression system, but that was actually a really good multiplayer because it didn't take too long. It was basically a horde mode, but you were limited to 5 rounds. So you had like a 5-round thing to do whatever tasks they were assigned you to do on whatever map you were on. You either got it done or you didn't. And then you earn coins to buy loot boxes if they could just change that to a progression system. I would really love to play that again, but I don't think that's going to come back. Because then they'd have to rewrite the whole loot box thing. But hey, if they got rid of the loot boxes and that'd be another sign of, hey, we realize you don't want this, so let's give you what you like without what you don't want.
Yeah. For me, with the first game particularly, it's almost kind of unplayable with the gameplay of it particularly. I remember when it was either really, really cheap on Xbox Live, or it was part of Game Pass, or maybe it was both, I don't know. And I went in there and tried it out, and I just could not get on with the first Mass Effect game. Played the second one was far, far better. It was actually a really good game. Played a good chunk of the third one, never did actually finish it. It just didn't particularly click with me, so this is going to be a good chance for me to just sort of front to back play the actual first one and go through the whole remastered trilogy, which I think is a good opportunity. And as I said on Geektown this week, which you can go and listen to, Geektown Radio, geektown.co.uk, this is yet again a really good opportunity for players that have played this in the past. You've got the nostalgia, you've got comparisons that can be made, people revisiting those stories, and then new audiences that maybe they did or didn't like Andromeda, or they maybe haven't even heard of Mass Effect, or whatever the situation is, just any sort of new audience. You put both of those into this game, see what reception you get. There has actually been announced that there's a new game in development, which is great as well. but that could kind of dictate what that game's going to be, or how sort of successful Mass Effect is going forward, which I think is just quite good and quite important as well. But like I've been saying about just old beloved franchises, we've had a lot of 90s remastered games. It doesn't have to be a game from the 90s. This is obviously from the 2000s at some point. But going back, remastering these types of games, seeing, testing the waters for the audience, how many new people can you get in, how many old previous players can take interest, and then you can kind of decide what to do with the franchise from there. And two examples that could be used pretty well is if EA did Dead Space, if they remastered those games, and certainly if Ubisoft remastered any of the Splinter Cell games, that would be a good way to test the waters for that as well. So I'm all for remastering old video games, just on all those different reasons. Any thoughts on that particularly?
Yeah, the original Mass Effect kind of had the unique distinction, at least at the time, of being launched in January. It was actually a January title. I don't remember when. It was like 08, 09, something like that. It was a long time ago. I was still in my one house at the time, and I hadn't lived there. I haven't lived there since 2010. So that tells you how long ago that was. But past that, it did have a lot of technical issues. There was a lot of texture popping in. Even after a few patches, it didn't really do as great as it should have. Obviously, 2 and 3 were greatly improved.
Yeah.
3, it's a shame you didn't finish it because it did have an interesting story arc to it. A lot of this right before like the big final battle, like most games have like the final battle. A lot of old characters from 1, which you haven't seen since 1, came in and had decisions you made back in 1 affect what they would do towards the near end. So I kind of like that in that it just, it reminded you, oh yeah, I remember that character. I haven't seen that character since X. I wonder what they're doing. Oh, they're doing pretty good. That's great. So it had that nostalgia to it.
Yeah. I don't know, I just kind of drifted away from the third one. I was playing it and then just, life happened, I guess.
Yeah, and that happens with a lot of games.
Yeah. And that's all the news I've got. I did have the Avengers thing written down, and some other stuff as well. So, but we've already talked about Avengers and the Game Pass stuff. So, let's move on to some emails, some feedback that we've got. If you would like to send in your thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, maybe concerns about video games or anything related to entertainment talk. Also, as well, speaking of feedback, this will go out way before we record it anyway. The Breaking Bad podcast for tomorrow that I mentioned, you've still got a chance to get your feedback in for the season 1. Keep it to season 1 as well. If you've seen the whole series or more than season 1, keep the feedback to season 1. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on that about Breaking Bad as well. And we should be able to include that in the show tomorrow when we record that, because that will be later on in the afternoon tomorrow. But you can send all that to matthew@entertainmenttalk.org. Twitter eTalkUK is a contact page and information in your show notes. Ian says, so now that the Series S and X and the PS5 are almost out, or one of them's out but one of them's out soon, have your plans changed? My plans have changed a little bit. Now I'll sort of explain how and why, which is part of my answer for this question. So I bought the bigger hard drive, which was really quite small and light and really just easy to install. It was great. Done that, so I've got the games I wanted and some extra games as well. That I did some Let's Plays for and some other stuff. Got all those installed. Those moved over in a reasonable amount of time. Really easy to use. So that was great. I did I mention this? I sometimes I can't remember who I say into what I say into who, but did buy 2 new PS4 controllers just because the old one that I had stopped responding and charging, and I don't know if you get these in the US. The big Nikon controllers. Do you see any of them at all?
No, but to be fair, I haven't really looked.
Okay, they're basically, it had like a USB dongle thing. You'd put that in the PlayStation and then you'd sync it up. It was just a little bit too big. Kind of hurt my hand a little bit when I tried to use it. There was a point where I got kind of used to it, and then hand injury kind of came back. It was just, I don't know, it was just, I could hold it and I could use it and stuff. It just, I don't know, strained my hand a little bit. So I decided to just basically buy 2 just normal DualShock 4 controllers. So I've sort of tried to future-proof my PS4 a little bit, you know, give a bit of extra space, new controllers, kind of, you know, freshen things up a bit. Because with the PS5 launch games, Spider-Man, Sackboy, and all the others, those are on PS4 anyway. So I'm going to just play those games on PS4. And then when we get to a point when PS5 games are only going to be on PS5, that's when I'll actually look into getting, well, a PS5. The Xbox situation, I'll deal with that at some other point. How about you?
Yeah, I can understand that. The original Xbox came with a controller known as the Duke, and that
was
thing
big.
was crazy big.
Yeah. We do have one in this house. Yeah.
Yeah, I used it because that's what I had, but then when they came out with their more form factor friendly controller and kind of stuck with that design for the most part, yeah, that's kind of been my controller since the get-go. But yeah, it makes sense.
But just a little side note, I'm not saying that like Nikon makes bad products or whatever. It was a very good controller. It just wasn't really suitable for my hands. So I'm not I'm not trying to badmouth them or anything.
It's no different than the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. They are way too small for my hands.
And just
and
really
when
flimsy.
and Black Friday, Cyber Monday comes around, I'll probably get either the Pro controller, depending on what they listed at, or
You
just.
should get the adapter.
No, I never got around to that. I'll probably just get either the adapter, depending on what the price is, or the controller, because the controllers are about the same cost as the adapter, and I'd rather have a secondary controller just in case.
Got quite a cheap adapter, so I'll try and find it and send you a link or something. So because I found it the other day on Amazon, so I'll give you some info on that. But sorry, what was you saying?
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't know of it, but I don't really look forward either. So.
Yeah. But how about your next gen plans?
Whenever Series X becomes available to purchase on Amazon, like I mentioned before, I can pay for about half of it with my Amazon points, and I'll do that. And at some point, I might get a PS5. But I mean, the exclusive games are good. They've just never been so I have to play this right now to draw me to buying a console for a single game.
Yeah.
I might get one like 3-4 years down the road, probably when they've gotten a little cheaper or when more of the actual next gen games become a thing.
Yeah. Cool. So finishing off, Kelly simply asks, most anticipated game for the rest of the year? ? I'm really looking forward to Watch Dogs Legion. Now, games for the rest of the year, it doesn't have to be something that's already come out. It can be something that's coming out that I haven't played. So Watch Dogs still counts. Watch Dogs Legion. Curious to see what they do with this mechanic thing. I haven't actually looked at any reviews to see how that mechanic works. With you basically playing as a red shirt, and the story characters are sort of communicating with you. I don't know how that will work, but yeah, and plus, going to London in a video game will be pretty cool. This sort of post-Brexit gone really, really wrong era will be kind of interesting, and that will be kind of cool and stuff. Because we really don't get a lot of games set in London, so it'll be sort of a rare opportunity as well. Plus, I just really like Watch Dogs. The second game was great and stuff. Assassin's Creed, to see what they do with the modern day story, what they do with the Vikings, if that's pretty cool, and to just actually properly assassinate characters without them standing up and fighting me afterwards will be good. Cyberpunk, obviously, if that does come out this year. There was some weird rumours and stuff that it's been delayed out of December 10th, but that's not been confirmed, so December 10th is still the date that's sort of loosely stuck there, I suppose. What else is coming out? Spider-Man, I'm looking forward to that. But if I'm just to select one, it would either be Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs, I think. So, but yeah, again, Spider-Man I'm looking forward to. I'm sort of cheating with my answer, but that's sort of some of my multiple answers. How about you? I know that Cyberpunk's obviously your big one for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I saw those same rumors too. I've been checking my Amazon pre-order periodically. The date has not changed. It still says December 10th.
Cool.
Now that might change between now and then. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed anymore. I am looking forward to whenever Valhalla ships. It has not shipped yet. And I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since Black Flag, and that one never really caught on with me. So I don't have, the Origins and the Odyssey and all that stuff as a back filler. Like I talked about at the beginning of the podcast, just the absurdity of that quest caught my interest enough that I'm willing to drop $50 to buy the game. I really would. I mean, they technically do have a service like Boomerang here in the States. It's called GameFly, but trying to service a few million people versus servicing a few 100 million people, you just can't. I can't get a game on a guarantee like you can as quickly as you can, and so it's not worth my money to try. It's like you put a game on the list, and with rare exception, you're pretty much guaranteed to get it pretty quickly.
Yeah,
I could put 50
as long as you
games on
kind
the
of
list.
queue up for it properly, basically.
Yeah, but I could put 50 games on a list and put the 50 most popular games on and not see a single one of them.
Yeah.
So I just assume spend the $50 versus spending $50 over the course of 4 or 5 months to, just have the game.
I'm just looking to see coming soon. I'm just seeing if Boomerang's got the same date. Yeah, December 10th. It's still got it listed for that. So, wow, Call of Duty's out in like 2 days. It'd be interesting to see which of my friends switch over and which don't, because literally half and half of the people that I play with, some of them are like, yeah, I can't wait for Black Ops, and some others like, no, I'm not playing that game. So
yeah,
I
and which one is it
really
where the private servers are going live today?
That might be for Black Ops.
Yeah,
I don't know. So, because when I boot up Modern Warfare now, it's now got Black Ops, like a pre-order screen, middle is Warzone, and then on the right is Modern Warfare. So I still don't really know what's going to happen with that in terms of who I'm going to play with or what game I'm going to play on, but I really don't want to be switching between 2 different Call of Duty games that are set in completely different eras. That's a bit awkward. But
at least you don't have to worry about hard drive space now.
yeah, I suppose that's good. So I could actually fit both of them on my hard drive, which is good as well. So yeah. And that's what we've got for you for this episode of Random Gaming Talk. Thank you all very much for listening. We shall see what happens next week, if we get to play some different games or whatever. Because we both might be talking about Assassin's Creed next week. So we shall see. Because I'm assuming we'll both possibly get them by the weekend or by like Friday or something. So yeah.
I hope. I mean, the
Have you-
pre-orders went out today, so I can understand, pre-ordering it on Sunday, not getting it today. I just hope it doesn't take longer than a week. If I don't see a delivery status by Thursday, I'll probably fire up the Amazon chat help, see if I can get that expedited.
Okay.
And say what you will about Amazon, their chat help is really good. I've gone through there for like maybe a dozen different things over the course of the last few years, and I've never been, well, outside of one exception, I've never been, that sucks. And I can understand the reason for the one exception.
Yeah. Alright, that's what we got for you for this episode of Random Gaming Talk. Thank you very much for listening. You can find everything else that we do on entertainmenttalk.org, TV, video game, films, and Manchester United podcasts as well. If you like what you heard today and you want to support it and get more involved, which a few of you have been doing, and I really, really appreciate that as well. That's been brilliant. There were some comments on my Last Guardian video, which was really cool. But you can get involved. We have the Patreon page, of course. You can check that out, the $1 and $3 level tiers for instant ad-free podcast and review options. Amazon affiliate link if you're buying some of those next-gen games or current-gen games or whatever you're getting on Amazon. Maybe some of that Christmas shopping, or maybe both, up to you. But we can get a small cut of what you spend. It won't cost you extra. Podcast services, if you search for Entertainment Talk on your favourite podcast player or service, we should come up on that, and you can get subscribed to us. And please rate, review the feeds as well. If we're not on your favourite podcast platform, please let us know and we will look into that. David is, of course, writing geektown.co.uk, up-to-date, reliable TV and film news. If you want to find all that, you can head over to geektown.co.uk or search for Geektown on your favourite podcast platform. Geektown Radio episodes available on Tuesdays. This week's episode is available to be listened to. Have you listened to this week's episode?
It doesn't pull down to my podcast lister until about 4:30 p.m., so I haven't had a chance to listen to it. I never have a chance to listen before we record, so.
Okay, Cool. But yeah, you can check that out, geektown.co.uk and Geektown Radio, iTunes, podcast services. Bex is streaming daily at the moment over on Twitch. If you search for Trista Bytes, Trista, Bytes, go and follow her over there for all that cool stuff. And if you want to watch me play some video games, either The Walking Dead VR, or see what I would do with the Manchester United team, if they can pass, defend and shoot properly, that would be great. You can search for eTalk UK on Twitch and get yourselves subscribed over there. That would be brilliant. Trying to sort of grow that at the moment, so that would be good. Word of mouth, you can tell people that you know about everything I've mentioned, Entertainment Talk, Just the Bites, Geek Town and everything else. Social media, you can do the same thing, Facebook and Twitter, and if you can, different Facebook groups. And also look out for Let's Play Sundays. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.